like to call to order the City of Belton Planning Commission meeting. This is Tuesday, April 21st. Could we have the roll call, please?
Chairman McPherson.
Here.
Mayor Larkey.
Here.
Councilmember Pryan.
Here.
Commissioner Christensen.
Here.
Commissioner Crate. Commissioner McDonough. Commissioner Ruggles.
Here.
Commissioner Shutt.
Here.
Commissioner Walton.
Here.
All right, thank you. First item that we have this evening is going to be review and approval of our minutes from the March 17, 26 meeting. Those have been distributed. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at those. Any corrections, additions, subtractions that need to be made? Or is there a motion to accept as printed?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th, 2026 as written.
Second it.
All right, thank you. Got a motion and a second. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We will move on to new business. There are a few changes that will be made to the agenda that was originally announced, and so we will address those as we go through item by item. The first item that we have for new business this evening is the presentation of PROJ 26-005. This is a request from Jim's Muffler for approval of a final development plan for an expansion of a vehicle repair general use in an M1 light industrial zoning district for additional parking, and approval of preliminary and final plats for Jim's Muffler, a one-lot subdivision of .44 plus or minus acres located at the northeast corner of North Scott Avenue and East Markey Parkway. And we will have our city planner, Ms. Fernandez, present.
Thank you, Chair. An application was filed for a preliminary and final plat and final development plan to plat the property and expand the off-street parking lot on the corner of North Scott Avenue and East Markey Parkway. The property is bound by other commercial and industrial uses. The proposed parking lot expansion on the south side of the existing building is proposed to provide 7 additional angled parking spaces, specifically for customer parking. The code requires that these types of expansions and other related items be brought into code compliance in the North Scott corridor overlay area. So there are a couple conditions in the staff report where the existing parking lot would need to be resurfaced, restriped, where it does not meet property maintenance standards. And the existing dumpster enclosure would need to be enclosed on the site. And there are a couple of modifications requested by the applicant here. Since the property is zoned M1 light industrial, we do require trash enclosures to be located in the rear yard. He is asking for modification to allow it in the front yard, and shrubs to be used in lieu of trees around the parking lot due to the power lines on the site. The proposed parking lot is surrounded by a 6-foot landscape buffer, which is required for all off-street parking areas, especially along street frontages. And this is where the applicant has requested that modification. There are quite a few power lines around that area there. So he's requesting only shrubs to be planted around there, which staff believes is acceptable due to site constraints, but has requested that all plantings be a minimum of 3 feet in height, just so we are shielding any lights from the vehicles to surrounding properties. The dumpster enclosure that's proposed here is proposed to be a movable dumpster enclosure. The current site doesn't allow the dumpster to be placed at the rear of the property, but he has proposed to do a movable dumpster enclosure, so it doesn't necessarily have to sit right in front of the property, but that is the easiest way for the trash to be picked up at this location. So staff believes that that's acceptable just due to the lack of other locations for that dumpster enclosure. With that, staff recommends approval of the preliminary and final plat and final development plan with the 4 conditions listed in the staff report. The applicant's here for questions, and I can answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just ask the applicant, is there anything additional that you would like us to be aware of? Saved by the bell.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's all right.
that was Jim.
He knew that we're asking. Anything that staff did not cover that you would like to make us aware of?
Well, I
If you'll come to the microphone here
Yeah,
at the
come on.
podium, so that
State your name and
Is it on?
those at home will be able to hear.
Do the plants have to go, you see the drawing up there, and the initial entryway there on the first one, do they have to go all along there? Since all those light poles are there, the street lights deals are there, and all that stuff's there, you're not gonna see them. I mean, it's all blocked in that whole corner up there on the, where the elbow kinda is there, where the street.
So just based on the requirements in the development code, there does have to be a 6-foot landscape buffer
Right.
all the way around the parking area. But if there are utility boxes or light poles, you can definitely plant around those. But that landscape buffer does have to be
Okay,
continuous
that's
all the way
fine, I
around.
just was asking.
Yeah.
And then the dumpster deal, there's no way to put it behind either side of the shop, because you can't, the trash truck can't get there.
Can't get into it.
So that's kind of like the location where it would be, but enclosed, but
Okay.
that's pretty much all I got.
And I'm sure staff will give direction as far as like the planting of the, and have they given suggestions as to what type of bush
Plant?
or plant?
I was gonna put them little torpedo-looking evergreens,
Okay,
that's my thinking.
and that falls within our plan for the city, is that
I've seen
correct?
everybody else puts them in, so,
Yes, that would be an acceptable
Okay,
shrub or tree, small tree to put there, yes.
okay. All right. This was announced, and this is one of the changes. This was announced originally as a public hearing and given notice, but it was not necessary. And so I do want to give the opportunity, if there's anyone here that would like to speak either in favor or in opposition to this request, if you'll come to the podium, state your name, and we would love to hear what you have to say. Ask once more, anyone that would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this plan? So even though it's not a formal public hearing, we'll give you that opportunity since it was announced this way. Okay, seeing none, anyone on the commission have any questions or comments that you would like to make? And if not, we could entertain,
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve project 26-005 as presented.
Second it.
all right, thank you. Do you have a motion and second? We'll ask one final time if there's any additional comments or questions. And seeing none, could we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Shutt,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton,
Aye.
Chairman McPherson,
Aye.
Commissioner Ruggles,
Yes.
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Pryan.
Aye.
All right. And so what we just voted on was the final, should have made this clear. This was for the final development plan. We would also need a motion and a vote for the preliminary plat.
Motion to approve the preliminary plat for PRO J26-005.
Second.
All right. Motion, and
2 seconds.
I hope you got who the second came from, because
I was faster.
got 2 seconds. All right.
We're going to change the meeting if that's not correct.
Put my name first.
All right, any comments? Then could we have the roll call on the motion for the preliminary plat?
Councilmember Pryan,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Shutt,
Aye.
Commissioner Walton,
Aye.
Chairman McPherson,
Aye.
Commissioner Ruggles.
Yes.
All right, and we will try one more. This is for the approval of the final plat, and we would just need a motion and second for this.
I'll make a motion, we approve the final plat.
Second.
Motion and second. And could we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Ruggles,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton,
Yes.
Chairman McPherson,
Aye.
Commissioner Shutt,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Pryan.
Aye.
All right, thank you. So we have approved all three items for your request there at Jim's. So,
Congratulations.
okay. Moving on to our next item. This will be a presentation of PROJ 26-006. It was a request from Freedom Flex for approval of rezoning from C2 General Commercial to M1 Light Industrial and approval of a preliminary development plan and special use permit for a 13,750 square foot flex space, minor major space, and 50,000 square foot of mini warehouse space in an M1 light industrial zoning district located on a 5.04 plus or minus acre lot at the southwest corner of East 171st Street and 58 Highway and South Prospect Avenue. And this item, we have received a request to have it continued to the May 5th Planning Commission, and so we would need a
Motion to continue project 26-006 to May 5th, 2026 Planning Commission.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and our seconds for this. All those in favor of the continuing of this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to item C. Presentation of CPA 26-001, request from community development staff for the consideration of an amendment to the 2050 Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Plan map for a portion of the Graham Efforts sub-area bound by North Cass Parkway, South Mullen Road, and East 195th Street and Interstate 49. And this has been announced that there would be a public hearing for this, but we have had this request from staff withdrawn, and so it is not an item that we will be considering, and there is no need for a public hearing on this at this time. Moving on to item D, presentation of UDCT 26-001, request from community development staff for approval of United Development Code UDC text amendments to Articles 2, permits, and 5, rental registration and inspection program in Chapter 10, buildings and structures, and Appendix A, schedule of fees and charges related to permitting and inspection process of related fees. And we will hear from our Community Development Director, Mr. Wright.
All right, thank you, Chair. Before you this evening are UDC text amendments for some changes to both the permits article in the Chapter 10 of the UDC and rental registrations, which is Article 5 in the same chapter. These are primarily related to just some cleanup items related to the rental registration program. Now that we've had it in effect for about 16 months, just some things that we have learned over the past 16 months of implementation of that. And then on the permits section, it's really about expedited timelines and penalty fees related to work being done without a permit to ensure that we have compliance in a timely manner. So I'll just kind of walk through the redlined version that was in the packet. There's also a clean version in the packet that will be officially proposed to be put with the ordinance. So in Article 2 related to permits, the first change is to Section 10-53, and really that's about changing the validity of a permit application. So a permit application is if somebody's submitting a request for a permit that currently is on file for generally 180 days. We're proposing to reduce that to 90 days. Typically, if somebody is going to obtain a permit, they are going to obtain that within 90 days of application. There are extensions in that process if we're still working with the applicant, going back and forth with plan reviews. So it's not immediately 90 days. It's more of if you've submitted a permit and it's just been sitting there for 90 days with no activity, we're going to withdraw that from our system because it does create kind of this backlog that we have to follow up on. And so having permits that have been in here for 6 months creates some challenges for us. And then just a note that every time that there's a passing inspection, the permit's automatically extended for an additional 180 days from that passing date. Just to clarify that in the code, that's been our policy, but wanted to make that clear in the code. The big addition to this chapter is a new section regarding work without a permit. We've had a lot of issues over the last year with work being done without permits. Most property owners, contractors, tenants comply fairly quickly with that, but there's always a few at any given time that we have some challenges with, and so we've broken that out into minor and major permits. Minor permits are those permits that typically, once you submit an application, are typically approved within a few days, and work is typically, can realistically be done within a week to 10 days. And then major permits are those where there's usually plan reviews, and construction can take 6 months to a year, year and a half to complete. And so there's two different timelines for each of those based on kind of the expectation. So if you get caught with doing work and you're doing the minor permit, you have a stop work order and 3 business days to submit your application and 10 days to actually obtain the permit. Otherwise, it goes to violation. And then you have 30 days to have your passing inspection. And then the major permit, essentially, it's on a similar time frame, although you have 10 days to submit the application because typically there may be additional plans that are required with that. And then you have 90 days to get the permit, which is going to be the standard process for any permit. And then beyond that, it's essentially just the normal process for those major permits. The exceptions are occasionally there are major permits where there may have been some work done clearly out of compliance with the code. We just ask that those items be brought up to code within 60 days while they continue the rest of the project. So that's it on the permit side. On the rental registration side, again, just some general cleanup. The biggest thing here is we're trying to mirror the penalty process, same as business licensing, which is previously what business rental registrations were under. They were under a landlord license. And that essentially, if your registration expires, you have a 30-day grace period without any penalty fee. If it's not renewed within that 30-day period, the next day, there's a penalty fee that's added. And then that penalty fee accumulates after each 30-day period. Expiration dates are based off of the original expiration date. So if you don't renew for two months, you're not going to get 12 months from that date. It's just automatic. You're not going to get 14 months out of a 12-month period. And then inspection process, we're already doing this as well, but we have a re-inspection fee. We're also adding late inspection fees, and those are for the rental registrations where they move somebody in without getting the inspection done. so there's a penalty for that. We already have that requirement, but again, because we've now implemented this, we're seeing how it works, we're realizing where there are some additional improvements that need to be made in the code to better ensure that that process is happening. And then clarifying that we already have it in the code that you're not required, you still have to register, but you're not required to have inspections if your unit is less than 3 years old. But we're just clarifying that, you know, if landlords want to do that, they are more than welcome to schedule. Once they've had one tenant in there, if somebody moves out within a year, they can get that inspection. And then failed inspections have the fee. Again, we're already applying that. We're just making that clear. And then the last section is to Appendix A, which are the actual fees. And so the rental renewal late penalty fee in there is $50 per registration for each 30-day period past due. And then the rental re-inspections and late inspection fees are $20 per inspection, or for re-inspection or each late inspection. And then just a catch-all on here, again, this is also in our policy, but wanted to make it clear in the code that we do have a return fee. So anytime that there is a payment that is made and that transaction is denied, we get charged by our payment processor. So we include that fee plus essentially a small administrative fee to cover that. So that's a $20 return fee for each failed payment that bounces back. So those are the changes. I'm happy to answer any questions on any of those.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Seeing none, we could open up a public hearing on this because this has been announced that a public hearing would be made available, so we will call that to order. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor or in opposition to any of the UDC text amendments as they've been explained? Just one more time, anyone to speak in favor or in opposition? And we will close the public hearing on that. And we could entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
You got a vote or?
Oh. He said, he didn't say what kind of motion.
Motion to approve the UDC text amendments as presented.
Second.
All right, motion and a second not to adjourn, but rather to approve the UDC text codes as they have been explained.
For the record, I will withdraw my motion to adjourn. For a second.
Because that's a motion that we have to vote on and we can't do
Right.
anything about. So could we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Shutt,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryan,
Aye.
Commissioner Walton,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruggles,
Yes.
Chairman McPherson.
Aye. So that's what happens when we don't have Commissioner McDonough here.
Right.
To, make the
He's the expert.
the right motion for us at that time. We'll ask the director, do you have anything in the way of a Unified Development Code update?
Yes, we did receive Chapter 2, which is the Processes and Procedures chapter, last week. So we reviewed that and shared that with our city attorneys today. So we'll continue that review. We're down to just a few other chapters that we've not received yet. So they are working on the zoning chapter as well as the non-residential design standards. So those are kind of the last two big chapters, and then the rest of the chapters are relatively small. So there's the sign code, which we don't anticipate any significant changes to that, just some tweaks to that. And then supplemental chapters, which are just kind of additional things that get added towards the end. But the bulk of the development code is coming together, and hopefully we will have a draft here in the next month or two that we can share.
Okay, very good. And were there any other items that you had to share in the way of a report?
Yeah, in addition to the Freedom Flex development that was already continued to May 5th, we also have the Plateau preliminary plat revision that will be coming on May 5th. That's essentially the remaining undeveloped 60 acres of that single-family subdivision. There'll be 180 new single-family lots there. So we're excited to bring that forward at the next meeting.
All right, great. Sounds good. And I'm sure by now everybody knows that Olive Garden is open.
We got an Olive Garden?
Yeah, I don't know how we got that, but it sure took long enough.
Yeah, I tried.
We appreciate all the work that everyone put into to making that happen, that's for sure. And I think that we would miss an opportunity if we did not thank all of the city staff, our public works department, especially our law enforcement, fire, all of those, the emergency services team. I saw the mayor right out front when the storm went through last week, and it made me feel good to see how well our city responded, but what made me even more proud was when I saw how the citizens responded and helped out and jumped in to help each other. Made me really proud to say that I was from Belton, and to see the coverage that we were getting from the local news. I had someone texted me late Friday night that lives in Arizona, and they said, "What is going on? I never see Belton in the national news. What's going on out there?" We had what could have been an extremely dangerous and bad situation, but it was handled extremely well by all of our staff, and just appreciate the work that all have done in doing that. So. All right, now we could entertain a motion.
I'm just going to tag on to that. I talked to the city manager today, and we're not done yet. Obviously, everything is not cleaned up yet, so they were concentrating on the brush, which still isn't done. But look for more announcements about trash and other items to get it back the way it was as close as possible, and planting new trees and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure, is on the way as well. So looking forward to putting everything back together again as best we can.
Absolutely.
So now I'm ready.
Now you're ready.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a
Second.
second? We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?